You just completed listening to the overview module. Now we begin with an expanded introduction and the assessment. There are 6 modules to the training. We are now in the second module, expanded introduction and assessment. Change is possible. I am proof of it, and this program is proven if you're ready to get real, to get sober. I've put together an attachment called You Can Change if you want more information on the items presented on this slide. With respect to accountability, find a dedicated recovery expert with designated times, either daily, weekly, or monthly, who will commit fully to your sobriety and support you, preferably someone who has won against their own demons of addiction. Critical here is to break isolation that keeps the disease of addiction alive. You must commit to a full program of recovery that provides a roadmap to beat addiction. I spent years going from program to program that did not offer complete recovery. After figuring out what worked, I created this full program of support with tools to succeed. My own commitment came when I claimed I matter. Here is the full program summary at a glance shown again. We're going to go into much more detail on each of the separate modules. To beat any addiction, you need to be armed with a recovery system. Our system can be used to beat any addiction: alcohol, porn, gambling, whatever. I'm going to reveal now 5 key components of our recovery system. Assessment is where the destructive behaviors are analyzed. Awareness teaches you impulse responses to overcome what drives you to turn to your drug of choice. Action, we draft your sober plan. Accountability, we write commitments for accountability and support, checking in, getting help, schedule, structure, things like that. Analysis and next steps. Over time, you clean up the deepest addiction roots. In each of the training modules, emotional intelligence will be emphasized, practiced, and made clear. This is the critical part of beating addiction, to bring consciousness and intention to changing your response to the pull of addictive impulses. Impulses are urges, feelings, energy in your body that pull you to the addiction. There is an attachment document, 5 impulse responses, that gives detail behind each point on this slide. Take a moment now and read these 5 points very carefully. This is the focal point of your sobriety. Here is the roadmap and tools to beat your addiction. We have cross-referenced the mapping to the exercises from our training as shown in the recovery system slide. They are either in the training videos or in separate attachments. Throughout the training, if you need more time on a slide, just pause and then resume. These are the milestones we're trying to achieve with the program. We isolate the destructive patterns so we know what needs to change. We challenge denial in order for you to be willing to feel good enough to go forth with complete recovery. Knowing that you matter will give you the commitment to stick to the change and transformation to addictive impulses. Our primary goal is for you to achieve long-term sobriety. Here is an example of a matrix on how you can apply this training to achieve long-term sobriety. Whether in one long session or over many weeks, the goal is the same: long-term sobriety. Each module has the essential tools tied to a roadmap and milestones, so it's clear the expected result you need to achieve. Addicts succeed with structure, working through modules that build on the other. At Exclusive Sobriety, we offer a complete program with this logical and clear progression. We work with high-functioning addicts, 12-step members who put down alcohol but still smoke cigarettes and use porn, and busy professionals who want an alternative accountability model of recovery that does not require inpatient treatment or groups. If you need to detox, do that first before attempting to implement this program on your own. The third cornerstone of change involves willingness. How do you become willing? Our denial challenge later on will give you practice to begin this process of transformation, to find out why you stay in addiction with the goal of getting you unstuck and on track. You have to get help to save your life. Addiction is fatal, progressive, and incrementally destructive. Death can be spiritual, emotional, and actual. Never be ashamed to save your own life. As dark as it gets, like this screen, there is hope. That hope is here and now. Let's jump right in. Tell us everything about yourself in 1 minute or less, personal, professional, and from an addiction standpoint.
I'll start. First off, I got so excited about change that I changed my shirt from the grand entrance video. I'm from London. Personally, I'm isolated. Professionally, I do great video testimonials. From an addiction standpoint, I need help. I'm beaten up. So that's why I'm here today. I like internet porn! Did I tell you that already?
Actually, we want to know everything in great detail about you. This is called sober inquiry. Our assessment is made up of 2 major exercises. 2A1.1 is the Patterns of Destructive Behaviors worksheet. Complete that on your own now. Also available is exercise 2A1.2 that dissects a specific addictive episode using the Titanic metaphor to illuminate clearly what sober inquiry means and how it can lead to change. That's also available as an attachment to this video. But what follows in this training is a very thoughtful summary that brings both exercises together in what we call the Titanic exercise to give you practice on the assessment tools. You may ask how this Titanic exercise will be helpful. Each of us has an addictive pattern. The addictive process starts before we actually board the Titanic of addiction. Identifying and confronting our pattern is critical in helping to overcome addiction and averting a sinking ship.
So, we don't spend 12 hours a day watching internet porn all aboard, waiting to perish a spiritual or physical death like the sinking ship Titanic. I quite like that metaphor. How am I going to remember that?
We isolate the pattern of addiction so you don't drown in your destructive behaviors. Sober inquiry leads us to completing the sober action plan as shown here that will give structure and accountability specific to you. Each addictive episode is triggered by an unmet need. When combined with our mass statement, the denial, this sinks us into addiction. By isolating the pattern of addiction, we can start the process of change. Complete part 1 of the Titanic worksheet now that is attached in 2A1.2. Joe Addict asks how he's going to remember the metaphor. So we've come up with a mnemonic. Know where you are in the process of addiction so you may have a chance to change your response. Trigger, impulse, travel, acting out, nirvana, isolation, and castration. This makes up the Titanic mnemonic, which helps to explain the stages of addiction that you are in a given moment. You can become your own lifesaver on the Titanic having this awareness. Complete part 2 of the Titanic exercise now that is in the attachment, and this will be much clearer when you're finished. What did you learn about your addictive episode? Has this kind of sober inquiry been valuable? Did you understand what is meant by unmet needs? Unmet needs that go unanswered get actualized with destructive behaviors. Know your unmet needs. How can you get that need met in another way? For example, I want love. I can ask for it. I may not get it, and then I could give it to myself, or I can find a source outside of me, a support group, a spiritual connection, or I can give self-love. Or I can sit with this unmet need and just feel the intensity of the feeling. Feelings will not kill you. Addiction will. Your mask statement from the Titanic exercise will be used as the launching point for the emotional intelligence in the awareness module. Take a break and we'll resume momentarily. Then proceed to the awareness module.